everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. And I have been able to add another book that's been on the list of books that I want to get, the bucket list of books. And this one is one that I should have been able to add a long time ago. It wasn't like it was that hard to get. It's just been on the list of books that I need to get. I just never had the inclination and the price match up at the same time. And then one day I was on eBay and I saw this one pop up and I said, I need that one. I made an offer and boom, the seller accepted the offer and there it is. And it is the Folio Society, Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. And like many, I think, Fahrenheit 451 is the first Ray Bradbury book that I ever read. And I enjoyed it very much so. I think before that I had read Ayn Rand's Anthem, these dystopian type of stories. I had read Orwell's 1984, and I'm trying to think of if Fahrenheit 451 was the next of that sort, I guess you would say. And I find Fahrenheit 451 to be interesting in the same way that 1984 Orwell's 84 is interesting, on how everybody reads that book and they say pretty much the same thing. Those other people need to read this, or those other people are the ones who are going along in this direction in society. And I found it how different political folks would say it's the other side, and then the other side would say it's them. It's weird how when we read Fahrenheit 451, so many of us say it's them, and you see different parts of it and you apply it to that. And I always looked at it as a world where people felt better, like they were better people if they obeyed their government and they did things the way their government wanted them to do it. That is a characteristic that makes them better, whatever it is that the government's wanting them to do. And it's funny how, regardless of political affiliation, a lot of people are that way. But anyway, sorry, I don't want to be political, but it's just an observation that I've made. Correctly or incorrectly, I don't know. I never claimed to be the smart one. Luckily, I'm handsome. But I got a book in the mailbox, and here it is, the risks you run when you buy stuff on eBay. Our seller put the book in a box. It's not a big box, and it feels like it's a little bit of cushiony. I'm not sure how confident I feel in the outcome, but let's remain positive until it's time to remain not positive. Open it up and see what it looks like. Hopefully it'll be just right, because I've been wanting to add this one to the collection. I am trying to think, what do I have in Fahrenheit 451? Like I said, it's the first Bradbury book that I've read, but I don't know if I've got a single copy. I've read this book a long time ago, and I certainly don't have the softcover copy that I had originally read. But I don't. I just checked. You weren't looking. When you weren't looking, I checked. I don't have a single copy of Fahrenheit 451 on the shelf. I do here, and I'm hoping it's good enough to be on the shelf. I don't want dinged, busted up, or anything like that. And this kind of scares me. We put a book in a bubble mailer and put it in a box. Okay. That's something, but it's not a lot of protection. That book can slide around in here, and it does. You can see it gets moved around a lot in the mailbox. And folks at the different parcel services are not always too concerned about a random book shipped media mail. One end's open, and so I'm hoping. Let's take a look and see. So they ship, the Folio Society ship stuff in slipcases, and that's one of the things that makes them a great publisher that I'm a big fan of. Flaws and all, I'm a big fan, but it looks like my slipcase is in great shape, and that's an issue with books in general. If you got a book and a corner gets a ding on it in the mail, a lot of times these fingers just know what they're doing. They'll grab a corner, straighten it up, and it looks good again. Or the spine, the top or bottom of the spine gets pushed in, and that's stuff it happens, but you can kind of straighten it out, and over time, books often end up that way. But when you got a slipcase, as great as they are, that thing gets mashed. It's just a mashed slipcase, and it now goes down much more. So in perceived quality and value on my shelf, in my opinion. But here it is. At a time, their slipcases would have this sort of a crescent shape. And I don't think they do that, although there may still be some that come that way. But typically, the newer ones that I've gotten don't have that crescent shape on the slipcase. But some of the older ones did. And I don't know. I don't know if they still ship some, perhaps like this. I don't know. But there's the slipcase. It came out well. Came out well in the shipping. Good day for me. Lucky for me. Now, here's the book. Another great thing about Folio Society is the artwork. Their books often look great. Now, they don't all look great, and I don't buy all Folio Society books. I buy the Folio Society editions of books that I love when they look good, or at least good enough. So they've made some books that I love, and they were just ugly, and I didn't buy them. And I don't have any Stephen King Folio Society titles on my shelf. Personal taste. Not that the books aren't great, but I don't like the way they look. So anyway, I've got other versions of those Stephen King books. But there it is. It looks good. We'll see in a minute who did the artwork. But they don't come with dust jackets. The artwork is directly on the boards. And typically, it's some sort of a cloth type board material. And they look good. And I've always been a fan of the Folio Society stuff. So it often looks good. You got quality sewn bindings. And they're built well. They're usually illustrated. We'll see here colored in papers. I wanted to see the artwork. I'll just wait until I open up the book doing this video. It says illustrated by Sam Weber, introduced by Michael Moorcock. Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which book paper catches fires and burns. And now with the invention of the internet, everybody's an expert on the temperature at which paper burns. And apparently it's not 451 degrees Fahrenheit. You can tell me what it is because I'm sure you know. But I love the artwork. It's a great book. Our main character, Montag, I'm sure you've all read it, so I don't need to do a review. But Montag, he's a fireman. Sounds like a great job, right? Firemen, hey, they save our behinds sometimes. Sometimes they save our lives. They save our homes. You know, there's a lot of people with great stories about firemen, but the firemen in this future, they don't put fires out. They burn your daggum houses down. You see, the government has laws against things, and laws against people having things to read, having books. And so when you get caught, if you're not connected in the right way and you don't make the right moves, when you get caught, they send the firemen in to burn your house down. And sometimes they burn you down with your house. Well, Montag is a fireman, and he's not really seeing his heroism in his job. It's a job held in high esteem. You're doing the work for the government. You're protecting society from these evil people with their individual thought. They're not thinking the way they're supposed to think. They don't go along with the proper group think of the people in charge or the opposition of people in charge. And so he should be a hero, saving us from these evil, selfish, single-minded folks. He doesn't feel like much of a hero, especially when somebody dies when you burn the house down because they don't get out, or they're not given a chance to get out, or they refuse to get out. And ultimately, it ends up causing him trouble in his career, in his marriage, and in society in general. And so it's kind of like this man's trip through this world. And he's got a conscience, and he runs across some cool characters. There's some twists in there. And for me, from what I've read of Bradbury, I haven't read them all, but this is my favorite Bradbury. Favorite Bradbury book, favorite Bradbury writing. He sticks to more straightforward storytelling, and then his prose kind of goes off occasionally, off into that more poetic, more colorful, or whimsical type of a prose, but he doesn't go too far and he comes back. And I like that. I liked it a lot. So Fahrenheit 451 is a great one that I would recommend with ease to anyone of all ages, any type of a reader. Read it with an open mind, an unclouded judgment. And then this Michael Moorcock artwork really does look good. I've never watched any of the films in their entirety. There was one, and I can't remember when it was made or where or anything like that, but I found there was a movie. I think there's a few. And this was in the streaming age, and I found it and I saved it and I started watching it, and I never finished it. I don't know. That's not an intentional indictment on the film, but it just occurred to me that picture right there reminded me, looked familiar. And I thought maybe I should go see if any of these Fahrenheit 451 versions, movie versions, are good. I don't know. You'd be the judge, but I think I'm going to go check that out now. And then another mania that I have, and it came ultimately from originally when I started collecting books. I started collecting first edition, first print hardcover copies. Well, Folio Society will do different print runs. And so somehow as a hangover from that first edition, first print collector in me, when it comes to the Folio Society stuff, I typically want first print Folio Society stuff, which doesn't make sense because it's nowhere near the first edition, but it would be the first Folio Society print, which I guess to me holds some regard. And typically what they would do is they would say in here second printing or third printing, and on here there's no reference to printing. So as far as I know, AFIK, that would make this a first print. I'm looking a little bit more closely just to see if it mentions previous prints or whether or not this is a second print or something like that. But it looks like first print, which is a nice added bonus for me. But the seller came through. The packaging was a little bit worrisome. I didn't have a lot of confidence in the outcome. Maybe I should look at things a little more positively. The glass is half full. You know, either way, the end result is the end result. So I was happily pleased on the way it turned out. And the book looks great. I'm glad to have it. I typically, with Folio, I put a lot of Folio Society books in a Folio Society section. But when it comes to authors that I collect, typically those Folio Society books go with the authors section in my collection. But not all of them. So there's actually a couple of them in here. Like Richard Matheson is right here. I Am Legend. Well, I got a whole bunch of Richard Matheson books right over here, and he's not in there. So there's at least one exception to it. But this one is great. It's going to go in the Ray Bradbury section, and now I got to go make some room for I Am Legend because Matheson's got him a section in my collection. I did that on purpose, accidentally. With that being said, I can think of no more lies to tell. So thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it, and say la vie, baby. Doo-doo.